live.
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We come here every week to get our real estate on, right? Help connect the dots in real estate. That's what Under Contract Live is all about. We do that, by the way, by having world-class guests week in and week out. This week is no different. We're going to have a couple of people on the show, and you might have already realized that we are on location, right? We're in a different set. Today we're actually in the training center, the Serial Sales Pro Training Center, and we're going to talk about the significance of that here in just a few minutes. In fact, one of our guests today is the owner of this facility, and he's an entrepreneur. He's a best-selling author. He is a CEO of a major company, does sales training nationally. He's a Forbes contributor. He's got a new book out. I can go on and on and on about Mr. David Villa, and he's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to open up the show today. I posed the question earlier on Facebook. You know, what are we at? Are we at a high in the marketplace? You know, we know that values have been increasing over recent years at a pretty rapid rate, and some believe that we're peaked. So I want you to comment on Facebook. I'm definitely going to be able to read your comments later on and respond to them, but I want your opinion. You know, if you're a realtor, you've probably, especially here in our marketplace in the Tampa Bay area, you have probably been affected. Oh, we got the fancy cameras. Got two cameras. Hold on, everybody. I'm making the turn. So we've got, so here in the Tampa Bay area, we just experienced this national disaster. Now, luckily for us, we came through it. We fared very, very well here in the marketplace. But there's a lot of places in different parts of Florida that have been affected. And not only that, but in Texas recently with their national disaster, these hurricanes have been devastating, right? And now there's a lot of talk about how they're going to affect the demand for construction materials. This will affect new home builders. So there's a ripple effect that they're talking about, not to mention employment concerns, businesses that have been affected. But the bottom line is, I want to hear from you. What do you think the market is looking like right now? Have we plateaued? Is anyone concerned that we're going to see a drop right now? Share with me today your impression of where we're at as professional realtors, right? We are the ones that people turn to look to understand what's going in the market. So make your comments on Facebook and we'll take a look at them here in a moment. So that's just kind of the question of the day that I wanted to open up with. But we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're coming back. Stay tuned because we'll be right back with Mr. David Villa. You're watching Under Contract Live.
Once you discover what your passion is, nothing can stop you. Your passion is your inspiration. Your passion is the fuel that keeps you going and going and going.
What I really like about open houses is the fact that not only is it a breeding ground for leads, but they are in-person leads, people that we are actually in front of, right? We have a captive audience for the most part. So I'm a really huge fan of open houses.
Here's the litmus test on if you're a leader. Is there anybody following you? Because, I mean, if you're exhausting yourself and you're moving and you're going, you turn around and no one's ever behind you or no one's ever walking beside you, then you might not be leading like you think you are. So what does a change leader? So first of all, you have to be a leader, right? First of all, you have to have somebody that you're imparting into. I love what somebody said either today or yesterday when they began to talk about mentoring and began to talk about, pouring into
people that are on top of their profession. What makes them different? Here's what I believe. I believe that it comes down to 4 principles. Basically, I'm going to give you 4 principles today that I think and I believe make top producers.
Because I've got 4 active contracts in real estate right now. As a matter of fact, when I'm done here, I'm actually going to a listing appointment, taking photos and getting another listing on the market today.
You have to get out of the box, and I think that there's no shortage of marketing. You talk to people who don't market, that own companies, you go, hey, why don't you market? Oh man, it's so expensive. So companies who are marketing, they're paying a lot of money for it. It's just crappy, or it's just standard. And it's kind of like you presenting a model. For instance, you that are in real estate, you presenting something that has no upgrades. There's no differentiating factor.
Hey, welcome back to Under Contract. I'm sitting here with Mr. David Villa. Not only all the things that I talked about in the opener, and you were kind of witnessing the opener here before you came on stage or came on set, but not only all the things that I mentioned, the fact that, hey, you're an entrepreneur. You're a CEO of a major company. You employ about, I think it's about 50 people here at IPD. We're actually at your facility now. We're inside the Serial Sales Training Center, right? And you know, you have a new book out, which we're going to talk about in a moment. You've already been a best-selling author. You're a Forbes contributor. I mean, we could go on and on and on with the accolades, but the reason that I invited you on the show today, and the reason that that I reached out to you and wanted to kind of have you share, is that we have a real estate audience, but more importantly, we have a sales audience. We have a sales audience of not only realtors, but mortgage brokers, title agencies. I mean, different people who are communicating with the public, and you've mastered this. You have a training center that's specifically trains on phone sales, customer interaction, all of those things. But what I want to say to you also is that, and probably a lot of people who are following you or following me know that we have a history together. We've worked on a lot of projects together. We continue to work. In fact, we'll be in Texas in a couple of weeks, right?
2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks we'll be doing some training out there. But the bottom line is, I wanted to get you on to talk about your new book. It's Lead or Be Lunch, and hopefully you can see that very clearly. So, Lead or Be Lunch, and I'm gonna, because of our limited time, I'm gonna talk about a specific chapter that I was kind of drawn to that I think really kind of hits home with our audience. You know, in sales, there's always, there's a lot of reward, but obviously there's a lot of failure that happens in sales. And if you look at the percentages with the real estate industry, I believe it's, depending on the stat that you look at, Dave, it's somewhere between 70 and 90% of agents fail.
Right.
And so in one of these chapters here, and I'll try to look at real quick. Here it is. It's chapter 6, Fueled by Failure. And so that kind of got my attention. But talk about that, and I'll kind of bring up what I took away from that chapter and kind of get your opinion. But go ahead.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Well, Fueled by Failure, to me, well, first of all, I think failure is it's a little bit deceiving, the title. I mean, it is kind of intriguing, but it's a little deceiving because ultimately I think failure is when you quit. Ultimate failure. So I think it's more, it would probably, it's the title Fueled by Failure, but it's really fueled by failing.
Fueled by failing, yeah.
Yeah, and where I get from that, and I think that anybody that's an entrepreneur, you have real estate agents, and again, you mentioned all the people centered around the industry that are watching, and we're all in sales. We're all, entrepreneurs. We're all business owners. We're all responsible for our book of business, and so we experience failure on a regular basis, and I think that really, Dave, what that chapter means to me is when you have something that you're deeply passionate about, and that you have no choice, and you know this as an entrepreneur and multiple business owner, when you have no choice but to do it. It's like, I'm not going to go get a job at Home Depot. I'm not going to get into there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to go start driving a truck for a living. I'm not going to go bag groceries, right? I have something on the inside of me that wants to reach people and help them, and that it comes with frustration, but it's a non-negotiable. Quitting's not an option, so failure is not an option. So I'm fueled, and what that chapter is really about, I'm fueled by the failings, the times I've fallen short, the mistakes I've made. But every time I feel like I can't go on anymore, and I even go through those seasons now, they're just bigger. And matter of fact, the failings that I experienced today would have killed me 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like in other words, if you would have taken the failings today, when you've grown, sometimes you think, I can't go on anymore. Well, guess what? 15 years ago, I said the same thing. I can't do this. I can't get through this. That would have been a mosquito on my shoulder. Today's would absolutely not 15 years ago me down.
Right.
Like, oh my God, this is a big one. But so I'm fueled by failings, and I think that is where the success comes from. And I think anybody out there, if you have anything that's worth it's salt that you're passionate about, you understand what I'm talking about, and I would challenge you to try to quit. If you can quit, Is it really something you're passionate about?
Yeah, that's the thing, and I think, and you kind of weigh in on this, Dave, but I think that oftentimes, especially if you're new in sales, but even if you're a veteran and you keep having some failures or you try something that's not working, you're looking at other people who, from the outside, like when I look at a Dave Villa and I go, man, he does it all, man. He's got it all down. He's got everything, perfect. Or maybe just another real estate agent, and you look at them and you go like, man, they do all this. They're so good. It's like, I can't really do that, man. I'm not having success here. I'm not having success there. I'm going through this. I'm going through that, right? But every single person that we look at, that we go, oh man, that person's got it all together, has not only been through that same thing, but they were fueled by the failure. And I want you to talk about something that happened in 2008. You mentioned in the book, during this recession that we went through, you talk about the fact that at one point, you lost almost your entire sales force in a 30-day period. I mean, how were you feeling then?
Not good. Yeah, in the book is Leader Be Lunch, and it's the power of earning influence. So what Dave is talking about here is, in that chapter, is regarding leadership. And at that particular time, I was subscribing to, or I wasn't subscribing to, that's all I knew. And I thought, hey, I'm the boss, so therefore do it because I said so. And it was kind of a mentality of a top-down philosophy. Not that I think anything with two heads or anything with no head is a freak, right? So you have to have a head, but you have to have someone in charge. That's not what I meant, but it's a top-down, like rule the roost kind of deal. No collaboration, no creativity, and so. And I struggle with that by nature. I mean, I think some of us type A personality, individuals struggle with control to some degree, but I ran my business this way. And so it clamped creativity to such a degree that I had a mass exodus of very talented individuals. Literally 75% of my, at that time, probably $9 million a year company went out the door in 1 month. And I mean, and so, it was one of those things that got my attention very quick. And I didn't hire another revenue producer, until 2010, literally 2 years later. I had a couple, I maintained it, we went and did what we needed to do. The business maybe dropped, $1 million a year or so, but we also trimmed some overhead down. So we made it through that. But what really is cool about it is I learned through that failing of how to do it. And and how it was supposed to be done, and so it was a huge learning experience. And by the way, one thing you mentioned a minute ago, somebody looks at a David Villa or Dave Cribbs or one of us and says, I can't do that. I still sometimes am blown away when you step back and see, because again, the 10-year ago of me, the 15-year ago of me would have never believed that was possible for me. I remember. What seemed like, remember when you were a kid and you were waiting for Christmas? Yeah. Now wait for it. It happens real quick. I remember waiting for that thing to happen in my life, and it seemed like a kid waiting for Christmas, like a long time. And so I'm still blown away by some of the things that's going on. So I would encourage the person again not to stop, not to quit. Yeah, it can happen, and it will if you keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, one of the things that, I kind of feed off of your energy in a lot of ways, and thank you so much. And part of that, I think, is because we just keep both showing up, right? Like showing up is like not only the first step, but it's like half the battle, We talk, it's funny because, you do a couple of different shows, including now a new radio show. It looks like you're going to have a different one that airs all over and whatnot. We'll talk about that another time. But the point is that, we talk about the fact that, I look back on my shows and I'm like, oh man, that sucks, man. Why am I even doing this? I don't even know if this show's going to, but yet it's like that consistency every week, show up. And then you start to watch the development. We often look back at our first days of the Auto Dealer Live show that started 4 or 5 years ago, right. And we go back a few years to when we first sat down together on the set there, and just the way it looked, and
we had bullets and stuff.
Yeah, right. But the key is that we could have stopped there, and then we wouldn't have this story, right? That's right. So I think that's a big part of it, and I know this book goes into so much more. It's lead or be lunch. So it's not just all about sales, but it's about leadership and about your story of building your company, how to lead others. You even talk in here about how to teach yourself to teach. And teaching is a lot of what you do, encouragement, speaking. You travel all over the place now. I mean, I could go on and on about that. I think you're amazing, not only as an individual, because I know you very closely, but as a businessman, my goodness, man, you were lighting it up. So we're gonna post on here how to get. Can you tell us how to get the book anyway? Lead or Be Lunch?
Yeah, it's really easy.
I don't think it's on Amazon, right? You didn't put it on there.
It's going to be on Amazon the first week in October and Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Both. But right now, go to actually this is pretty cool. It's so big. Leaderbelunch.com. So go to that.com and you can get it.
Leaderbelunch.com. And by the way, if you caught the commercial, I know sometimes you just kind of tune out commercials, but we're going to run it again here in just a moment. But the earlier commercial is actually about a sales boot camp for real estate agents that's going to occur right here in this very room. It's in Tampa, Florida. If you need to fly in, fly in. We're also going to give today, before I end the show, we'll give a discount code that you can use to get a little bit early bird special, if you will, for that event. But most importantly,
50 realtors. That's going to be cool.
50 realtors. It is going to be cool. Hey, we've had some realtors in our general sales boot camps, but this one is focused on real estate. So it's going to be all about real estate. We've got some really cool things, but obviously you're going to see the commercial again here in a moment. In fact, we're going to go to commercial now. Dave, thank you so much for being with me. And when we come back, you're going to meet Dave's right-hand man when it comes to training. He's the corporate Director of Training and Business Development. Mr. Mark Canterbury will be joining us here in just a moment. You're watching Under Contract Live.
Once you discover what your passion is, nothing can stop you. Your passion is your inspiration. Your passion is the fuel that keeps you going and going and going.
What I really like about open houses is the fact that not only is it a breeding ground for leads, but they are in-person leads, people that we are actually in front of, right? We have a captive audience for the most part. So I'm a really huge fan of open houses.
Here's the litmus test on if you're a leader. Is there anybody following you? Because I mean, if you're exhausting yourself and you're moving and you're going, you turn around and no one's ever behind you or no one's ever walking beside you, then you might not be leading like you think you are. So what does it change leader? So first of all, you have to be a leader, right? First of all, you have to have somebody that you're imparting into. I love what somebody said either today or yesterday when they began to talk about mentoring and began to talk about pouring into
people that are on top of their profession. What makes them different? Here's what I believe. I believe that it comes down to 4 principles. Basically, I'm going to give you 4 principles today that I think and I believe make top producers.
Because I've got 4 active contracts in real estate right now. As a matter of fact, when I'm done here, I'm actually going to a listing appointment, taking photos and getting another listing on the market today.
You have to get out of the box, and I think that there's no shortage of marketing. You talk to people who don't market, that own companies, you go, hey, why don't you market? Oh man, it's so expensive. So companies who are marketing, they're paying a lot of money for it. It's just crappy, or it's just standard. And it's kind of like you presenting a model, for instance, you that are in real estate, you presenting something that has no upgrades. There's no differentiating factor.
Go. Hey, welcome back to Under Contract Live, and now we have the training director of directed training of the training director.
Very
close, right?
Very close.
Now, hey, we've got my friend Mark Canterbury here. He is the new director of training and business development here at IPD, and more specifically, Serial Sales Pro. Now, sometimes, by the way, the company is IPD, which stands for Imperial Press Direct.
Correct.
But there's really subsidiary companies kind of within it.
Right.
And Serial Sales Pro is one of the divisions that kind of falls in the whole training category. And that's what you're in charge of now.
Yep.
So what do you think, man?
Here's the deal. We turned the lights on basically August the 1st.
Yeah.
So what are we, 45 days into it?
Yeah.
Thereabouts, even if you take off hurricane days. But it's blown up. It's been so fun to start a division. You know, and at the end of the day, it's about equipping, enriching, and encouraging. You know, so whenever we talk to people about training, when we talk to people, whether it's real estate, it could be the car business, obviously, just the different digital, there's so many different avenues we can go. And what's been neat is just seeing people come to these events, leave the events, get a call back, and just say, thank you, I needed that.
Yeah, and you know what? And before I go into the next point that I want to talk about, I just also wanted to say that you come from an educational background.
Yes, sir.
So you've been teaching, training for a long period of time. Obviously, a guy like David Villa, who is the owner of the company here, you know, can really kind of pick and hand choose people really from all over the country. To do a job like this, so gotta feel pretty special.
I do.
It's like a #1 draft pick, right?
Right,
so
right.
It's super cool, man.
No,
so congratulations.
well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the cool things, and as obviously a couple of events that we've already taken place here. There's some that I've been a part of where, you know, did some training and teaching, and there's some more coming. But what the really cool thing is, you know, for real estate agents and those people in the real estate industry, one of the things is that, you know, we are inundated really with different trainings and different seminars and events, and by the way, many of which are free, right? It's kind of cool because you can go and get some free, you know, knowledge and things like that. But what I have found, and by the way, I participate in many of those, many of them, and many great ones, by the way. But what I've found is that there's a difference between having a seminar or a class or an education and having an event, a real training event, where you really get into, you know, it's not just us sitting back and listening to someone talk about something or kind of teach us something. That's great, there's nothing wrong with that, but it becomes more personal when we start role playing, and we start picking up phones, and we start, you know, doing these things that are interactive. And then here at these events, you guys literally, you rolled out the red carpet, you know, interviews, all kinds of stuff leading through the event. It's really a first-class thing. So what do you think it is that really makes it like so special?
Well, I believe you know, coming from the educational background, I want to make it an experience. From the time they pull into the parking lot until the time they leave, it's an experience. Yeah. Right? So we make sure we do valet parking. You know, that they walk in, we have where they can take photos, we do videos, but it's really about their experience when they're sitting in the seats. What I like for people to do is envision when you're sitting in the seat, it's the end of the day, you get up, you walk out, do you feel like you got value from it?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there something I can take away today that can help me tomorrow? And this is what's cool. We had a car dealer come in, a salesman. He left the event at 4 o'clock, went ahead and went to his dealership at 5. At 6 o'clock, he incorporated actually a role play that you did, David. A role play, right? Exactly.
Thank you.
A role play, and he was able to get a lease that night.
That is awesome.
That night.
Man, that makes me feel good.
And that's really what it's about at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, I tell people a lot of times, you know, like if I'm going to speak in an event or participate in an event, like, and you've heard me say this here to our audience at an event, but one of the things that I want to accomplish is I want the participants or the audience to blame us for their success. Right. Like I want them to be able to look at a deal after they leave here and place the blame on us. Like that's why I got that deal. Right. So it's pretty cool to be. It's not usually pretty cool to be blamed for stuff, but that would be pretty cool.
I would agree with that. It's just been, and what's cool about launching a Division II, and obviously with Dave Villa, you have a visionary. And here's what I feel like. I feel like an eagle, and he says, "Fly as high as you can."
Right.
He doesn't clip your wings, does he?
Right.
He's like, how high can you take this?
Yeah, it's funny because, and this is probably why I have embraced not only his friendship, but especially in business, why I've embraced him and his company. And it's because oftentimes, and I have felt this in so many places, and I know that if you're watching, you can relate to this, but so many times you maybe work for an organization and they hire you to do a job. Like, for example, sales. They hire you to be a salesperson. But then they want to keep you inside of this container and say, I want you to be the most amazing salesperson, but you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I'm not talking, obviously, about anything illegal, immoral, unethical, anything like that. But you don't have the freedom to actually do what they're asking you to do. Like, hey, you hired me to be a salesperson, right? Would you like me to be a salesperson? Because if you do, that means I can go out and sell, right? I can do whatever it takes to make this happen as long as we stay in those amazing parameters.
Yeah.
And with the values here in this company, that's not even a concern.
Right.
But the whole thing is, you're right, man, it is so cool to work for someone that when you go, hey, man, hey, what do you think about this? They go, man, either that sounds pretty, it's not they're going to love your idea every time, but it's like, yeah, man, I like the way you're thinking. You know what I mean? I like the way you're thinking, man. If I were going to have just a team, and who knows, maybe that's what's coming in real estate, but if I were going to have a team of people, I would want the type of person that just can't wait to figure the next thing out and explore and grow and whatever. So,
and that's what's been neat about the launching this division. That is, every day we are finding new avenues to take.
Yes.
New ways to do it. But what's encouraging more than anything else is getting those responses from people that say thank you, or I'm coming to this event, thank you for putting this event on. And that's what gets you charged at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's about people.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what's upcoming. We ran a commercial twice. We know we have the real estate event coming here. I mentioned earlier I would give out a discount code. If you go on the commercial, you'll find a landing page. Go to that landing page. I believe the cost of the event is $429. And I'm not even sure, by the way, if it talks about the fact, and I've mentioned it on the show before in the last week or two, but I'm not sure it talks about this, but you're going to leave here, the event's $429. I'm going to give you a coupon code right now, one of those, you just punch in the code. Hashtag boom. Hey, I wonder where that came from.
Yeah,
right?
I wonder where.
So, under contract live, hashtag boom, right? Hashtag boom is your coupon code. It's going to give you $100 off the early bird, so it's going to be $329 is going to be your cost. But what I was getting to is that I'm not sure the landing page mentions that you're also going to get a 30-second professionally produced edited commercial. And we've been working on mine so that we can show it as an example. We'll have that on the show by next week. I'll start putting it out on social media here shortly, and I'm sure you guys will be sharing that too. But make sure you go on and come to this event, because it's a limited amount of seats. I think we're going to have 50 seats that we can sell. They're going to go really quickly, so make sure that you're doing that. And then, of course, if anyone is interested in other types of training events, what's interesting is that you guys have an entire online university, really. It's like a sales academy, Sales Academy, Serial Sales Pro, and that can actually be accessible. Not only that, but you guys do custom tailored trainings. I mean, it's almost whatever you can imagine you guys can do. And if you're a mortgage broker, maybe you're in another state, and you're like, well, how do I take advantage of this? How do I find out more about the training and whether or not it would pertain to me? Get on the phone. Call Joe. You want to give out Joey's number? Because Joey is a sales rep for the academy.
I would love to give Joey's number.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Oh, okay. All right. Joey,
where are you?
Joey, make sure you comment, put your number. Look, I'll list it on here after the show under the comments, but Joey Perez at Imperial Press Direct, IPD. The main number here.
What's the extension for him? 511?
The main number is 813-630-5888. Extension 511. There it is. It's on the screen now. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So call Joey Perez. Find out what Serial Sales Pro is about, what all is available to you as far as sales training platforms and events. There may be even an event coming to you in your state. So.
I just want to mention, can I mention?
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, we have one coming up actually October the 2nd. It is Digital Boot Camp, which is going to talk about digital marketing.
That's a big thing for realtors. Yeah, big thing for realtors.
Huge. And that's going to be here. But we're also live streaming it. So if you are out of the state, That's an option also to be able to watch.
Okay, so we're going to have a live streaming option for the digital boot camp coming up.
And then November 13th, we're actually starting, you may not know about this, we're starting an IPD Sales Academy, which is basically a night school.
Night school?
Yeah.
I just thought that was brilliant. I do know about that. And
It's going to be starting November 13th, Monday nights.
Okay.
From 6 till 8:30, a 12-week course, which is going to be cool. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's going to be great. A great opportunity for those who maybe are working a different full-time job and thinking about either becoming a real estate agent or maybe even just some other type of sales.
Yes.
No matter what that is, here's your opportunity. If you've been thinking about getting into sales, but it's too much of a leap right now, here's an opportunity. Or if you're in sales and you're spending your day, prospecting, getting customers, getting clients, doing things like that, or working with clients, here's an opportunity to come at night and find out something new, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right, exactly.
So man, so cool, man. Congratulations again.
Yeah,
congrats on the new position. And it's awesome. And I know we'll be doing a lot of things together as we already have.
Sounds good.
And cool to have you on, Mark.
All right, brother. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. So hey, that's it. We're tuning out. It's Under Contract Live. I'm not at my normal desk, so I don't have the big stack of papers to throw. I feel terrible. So I'm gonna throw. We're gonna throw one. We're gonna throw. Hey man, I'm gonna rip this contract. No contracts on Under Contract Live. We're ripping up the contracts. Here you go. All right. See you next week. #boom.